Okay, good morning. We are continuing Hilchos Sukkah. We are at Taf Reish Mem Bet, but just a quick follow-up from yesterday. So Rav Shepson asked a great question. How do you get an Avel on Chol HaMoed? Right? Because if you started an Avelus before, it ends with the beginning of Yom Tov. So one answer is, we actually did say yesterday, that you bury the body on Chol HaMoed, and therefore you begin Avelus B'Tzin'ah, your Avelus Shel Shiva begins Chol HaMoed, and you still count the 7 days starting after Yom Tov, but you still have a din of an Avel B'Tzin'ah for that Chol HaMoed. The other possible scenario or category would be an Avel even for Shloshim or the whole year. And you're still an Avel, that person is an Avel on some level, right? You could be an Avel of Shiva, Shloshim, or the year. And the Havamina is you're a Mitztayer. And the whole point of the halacha is, even though there's a Havamina that you're a Mitztayer on Pater, the answer is no, because this is a personal, emotional one that one has to, at least in most situations, one has to overcome. Okay. That's that. And then, just a quick sum up, because there's a little bit of unclarity perhaps with the Shehechiyanu. So regarding the mitzvah regarding building a mitzvah, building the sukkah, the Yerushalmi says there is such a bracha of building a sukkah, of the lashon of asiya for the sukkah, and that is not according to the Bavli, so that l'maisa no one says you're allowed to say. The question is on Shehechiyanu. So even the Bavli says there is a bracha of Shehechiyanu for the sukkah. Now, it comes out, it's very clear from all the poskim that the ikar mitzvah of Shehechiyanu is on the kiyum of the mitzvah of Leshev Sukkah, which could only happen during the holiday of Sukkot. It's living in the sukkah. That's the real what the Shehechiyanu is for. There's two separate Shechiyanus, so let's just get that past us again. Shehechiyanu for Yom Tov, for the holiday itself, for the 7 days. That's one Shehechiyanu. And there's a separate Shehechiyanu for the mitzvah of living in the sukkah. Now, so those are two separate Shechiyanus. Fine. You could say it once on both, or you can say two separate ones. So the minhag is we say one on both if it's shayach for the first time when you say Shehechiyanu on both. But the ikar Shehechiyanu is on living in the sukkah. So for the Shehechiyanu for sukkah, there's only one time a year, everyone points out, there's only one time a year you can say Shehechiyanu on a sukkah, and you have to wait from sukkahs to sukkahs. So, for example, Shlomo Zalman points out, others too, if you're going to build a second sukkah, a third sukkah in the middle of the holiday, you still only said Shehechiyanu once that whole year for the mitzvah of sukkah. You only get one time a year to say Shehechiyanu. Because really the mitzvah is on living in the sukkah. And once you're Mekayim it, you're done. And so certainly if the first night you eat at a friend's sukkah, and then you go to your house to eat in your sukkah for the first time, or to sleep there for the first time afterwards, when you already said Shehechiyanu on the mitzvah of eating in your friend's sukkah, that's it, you're done for the year. Because every holiday that once a year gets for the Shehechiyanu, that's really what it's for. Just the Gemara points out, you could be Mekayim the Shehechiyanu on the sukkah when you build your own sukkah. As you're finishing, while you're still osek b'mitzvah, while you're building when it becomes kosher, then you could say that Shehechiyanu for building the sukkah already before sukkah started. The Bir Halacha says it has to be within 30 days. Now, none of us say this bracha before sukkah starts. We all wait for sukkah, so I don't want to get bogged down, but it happens to be the Bir Halacha points out that it's a machloket rishonim. So that's Tosfos and Rosh says, you could, if you say Shehechiyanu before sukkahs, on building the sukkah, so then in Mela you don't say it again on sukkahs itself, because even though you said it a few days early, it works on the holiday, even for the Shehechiyanu of the Yom Tov. So you wouldn't say it at Kiddush at all. Again, none of us do this, so it doesn't come up. And the Bir Halacha says it's a Safek Bracha Zahaka. Again, the Rambam, others, Ritva says you would say it again, Because you can't say it on Yom Tov a few days before Yom Tov even starts, but because Sukkot is for the holiday, so that's where you get the machloket Rishonim. But again, none of us say it early, so that's really not exactly a... Anyway, so it comes out, you only say Shehechiyanu once, we say it once, that's the minhag, we say it on the holiday itself, for both. Now, if, the Ramah points out though, if you said it the first night outside of a sukkah, then when you go to the sukkah, since when you said the Shehechiyanu, it was only on the holiday, so that happens to be a machloket, if the Ramah is correct, but that is the halacha. Everyone paskins like the Ramah, that you would say it again, since when you said Shehechiyanu, in his case, because you said it on the holiday outside of a sukkah. So then you're not, at that moment, it wasn't shaykh to the Shehechiyanu that you said, wasn't shaykh to the sukkah. But again, there is a machloket on that, that's why it's a bit confusing. Okay. Right. And one last thing I want to point out was the sugya, we touched upon it, but it comes again up here with building a pergola. So just a real sikum, when a person makes a pergola, a permanent sukkah, in their home, in their backyard, their front lawn, whatever, peset, the balcony, and you build it forever, right? It's thin slats. They're all less, they're always less than a tefach, right? That's how they're made. So then, even they're permanent. So ideally, you want them to be resting on little grooves, so that it won't fall down. And you're not using nails to prevent them from falling down. Once they're resting on wood, you can add nails for extra support for a ruach she'ena metzuya. But ideally, we make them so that they're resting on wood and not resting via nails. Otherwise, you have the chumrah l'chatchila of maimed, because the nails are not kosher. But anyway, so that's normally how pergolas are made, and they're always made l'shem sukkah, right? So even if you were to make it from the beginning of the year, earlier than 30 days, since everyone knows when you're making your pergola, you're making it for shade and for the mitzvah of sukkah, so then it would be kosher, 100%, there's no problem. And that's how it's related to this siman, because when you build it, again, we don't do this, but the ikar adin would be when you build it for the first time, then you could say Shehechiyanu when you build it, perhaps only within 30 days of Sukkot. That's what the Bir Halacha writes. So that's, but anyways, we always wait for Sukkot anyway to say the Shehechiyanu, and this lasts from year to year. And so there is a chumrah mentioned, it's a Kiddush, no one brings it down until the Mishnah Berurah and perhaps the Chai Adam, that once the holiday passes, it was not brought down anywhere else, and the Aruch Shulchan says clearly it's not correct, that you have to be machadesh davar. So we had that a couple simanim ago with the Sukkah Yeshena, an old Sukkah. So do you have to be machadesh, let's say a tefach al tefach? So the Mishnah Berurah says, lechatchila, one should be machadesh tefach al tefach. So we might as well, it's not difficult, might as well be machmer, be makayim the Mishnah Berurah, but just know that it's only a din lechatchila, and most poskim either don't agree or don't mention this chumrah, because once it was done l'shem chag, then it works forever. Okay, right? The Mishnah Berurah says once the holiday passes, from year to year you have to be machadesh something. Okay, fine. Now let's continue to today. Taf Reish Mem Bet. Seif Aleph. Im Chal Yom Rishon Shel Sukkos Liot B'Shabbos. So now Yom Rishon, the first day, falls out on Shabbos. So what do? Omrim be'arvit bracha achas mein shava v'chotim ba b'Shabbos bilvad. So if Friday night is also, so we always know Friday night right after Shemon Esrei from Maariv, the Chazan says a quick mein shava, a mini chazar rashatz. So there he always says the bracha at the end, Mekadesh Shabbos. So that is when it comes out on any Yom Tov, you only say Mekadesh Shabbos and you don't mention Yisrael v'Hazmanim. because we never say this bracha on Yom Tov. We only say it because people are late on Shabbos, but on Yom Tov, people are not so late, so we're not trying to extend the tefillah longer. And that bracha is only for Shabbos, so therefore, even though it falls out on Yom Tov, we don't add it. Okay. We learned that before. Taf Reish Mem Gimel, Seder HaKiddush. Okay, so how does Kiddush work? So Aleph. Seder HaKiddush, Yain, Kiddush, V'Sukkah, V'Achar Kach, Zman. So there's 3 brachos when it comes to Kiddush on Sukkot. Right, this is the nighttime we're talking about, right? So you have the bracha of Mekadesh Shabbos. So first bracha is on wine. And if you don't have wine, it would be bread. But anyways, so yain. Right, the same halacha would be if you use wine or bread, as far as the order. But here we go. So if it's yain, we say first. Then, and we're all familiar with this, Ber Pri Gefen, right after the psukim. And then you say the bracha of Kiddush. It's actually, Then you say the bracha of Kiddush. It's actually 4 brachos. My mistake. So Kiddush is Mekadesh Yisrael v'Hazmanim, right? Or you would add the word Shabbos if it is. But okay. V'Sukkah, the third bracha that you would say is Leshev b'Sukkah. V'Achar Kach Zman. And the last bracha that you would say is for Zman. This is for the first night, right? Many of us, if you in Chutz La'aretz and you say the second night, you would switch the order for Zman. But V'Achar Kach Zman. Zman you say last, because the Shehechiyanu is going on both Kiddush, right, for the holiday itself, for Yom Tov, and it's also going on Sukkah. All right. Tav Reish Mem Gimel. Lefisha Hazman Chozer al Kiddush Hayom, because this Shehechiyanu is going on the Yom, the Al Mitzvah Sukkah. And based on what we do, the minhag is we save it for the first night, the Shehechiyanu. So therefore, the Shehechiyanu is going on both. So you want the Shehechiyanu to be after both. Now, B'diavad, if a person makes a mistake and he says Shehechiyanu before he says Leshev b'Sukkah, for sure that's fine for both, because Stam Das is the Shehechiyanu goes on both, and the order doesn't matter, right? You can say Shehechiyanu or Leshev b'Sukkah, the order which one really doesn't matter, and they're both for both, and but just it emphasizes the point. We say on the first night, since it's the Shehechiyanu is going on the Sukkah, we save it for afterwards for emphasis that it's also on the Sukkah. And then on the second night in Chutz La'aretz, then you switch it because you already ate in the Sukkah and you don't need it, you only need it for the Yom. Okay. And why is it? So also, we mentioned Kiddush first. So Mishnah points out, because which one comes first? First comes the holiday, right? When the sun sets, or when you're accepted, Tosefes or not. And then, afterwards, when you sit inside the Sukkah. So, right, wherever you're in Shul, whatever, the holiday itself comes first, so that's why it's mentioned first. Also, it's Tadir v'Tadir Kodem. Okay. All right. Now, he also points out that if you don't make the bracha of Shehechiyanu for the Yom Tov the first night, you can say it all week. Some also point out, if you get yourself in a funny situation where you're not sure if you should say Shehechiyanu or not, like maybe you had in mind, maybe you're a Yotzei for the Yom Tov, maybe you said it for the Sukkah, you're not sure, or you're not sure if you said it properly for the Sukkah. If you come up with such a case, when you say the bracha on a lulav in the morning, when you say Shehechiyanu for the lulav, you can also have in mind Shehechiyanu for anything else or that you might need to say it for. Right? You're allowed to say one Shehechiyanu for 2 things if you have them in mind, right? If it's applicable. Okay, but afilu bashuk, even if you're outside on the street and you realize you never said Shehechiyanu on Kiddush, you're allowed to say Shehechiyanu anytime during the 7 days. Okay, fine. Let's go to Tibet. Uleharambam mekadesh. So this is right. You're sitting or standing. So leharambam, according to the Rambam, mekadesh me'umad. You say Kiddush standing. Umevarech leshev basukkah. And then when you finish Kiddush and you finish saying leshev basukkah, v'yoshev, and then that's when you sit down. because the ikr, according to the Rambam, the ikr, the bracha is going, the ikr part of Kiyum mitzvahs of Leshev Sukkah is just being in the Sukkah. And that's emphasized by sitting down. So therefore, you want the bracha of Leshev Sukkah to be attached to sitting down, to show that it's for that. V'achar kach mevarech zman. And then when you're sitting, you say Shehechiyanu. Now, V'einu agin kain, the Rama adds, and that's not the prevalent minhag. Again, everyone does what their minhag is. Elishamakachin meyushav. He says, no, it's better to say the whole Kiddush sitting down. Why? V'chein da'at Aruch. And that's based on the Rosh. So it may be a little bit different. Again, depends what you do Friday night. And Friday night, there's some people in particular want to stand because Vayachulu is Edus or Al Pisod. But here, when there's a mitzvah of eating in the Sukkah, there's another reason, according to the Ramah points out, based on the Rosh, to be sitting down. Because the Ikar mitzvah of Kiyum, of Leshev Sukkah, is not by sitting or just living, it's by eating. And that's why many have the minhag, the prevalent minhag is, you say the bracha of Leshev Sukkah when you're dafka eating, because that's the Ikar Zman. Right? If you know you're not going to be eating, so that's the famous machloket I think we discussed. But when it comes to Kiddush, so you want to make the Ikar Leshev Sukkah when you're already sitting. You want the Leshev Sukkah to be attached to eating. So as soon as you don't want to be sitting down after you say Leshev Sukkah. You want Leshev Sukkah to be as soon as you are closer to when you eat. And okay, so and whatever. So that's two minhagim. All right, they're both acceptable. Gimel, bisha'ar yamim. Now during the other days, during the week, which bracha should you say first? Right? We know by when you're saying Kiddush, so you're drinking wine, and so you're gonna and it's part of Kiddush. Kiddush makes you, it gives you the matter to eat. So kaveh suda. So there we know you're gonna say the bracha when you say Kiddush. What about during the week? There's no Kiddush. So now all you're going to be saying is Hamotzi lecha min haaretz. So when is the best time to say the bracha Leshev Sukkah? Should you say it before? Everyone says after Netilas Yadayim. The question is, should you say it in between Netilas Yadayim and Birkas Hamotzi, or after Birkas Hamotzi? So he says, Bishar Yami Mevarech Al Sukkah Kodem Birkas Hamotzi. So normally, when's the best time to do it? Since there's no Kiddush, you're not saying it attached to Kiddush. The best time to do it is before Birkas Hamotzi. That's based on the Torah B'Shem Rabbeinu Meir in Rottenburg. All right, Maram. And that's also because it's closer to yeshiva, it's more attached to sitting down, and there's not less inyan of a hefsek. All right, so that's what the Shulchan Aruch's preference is. V'nohagim, but he points out the prevalent minhag is, and it's 100% fine also, Lavarech ala sukkah achar birkas hamotzi. Now, you can even say it, this is more according to the Rosh, but you can say Leshev Sukkah after birkas hamotzi, before you eat the bread, and everyone agrees really it's not a hefsek, because it's all for the purpose of eating bread. Right? It's only a hefsek if it's not shayach whatsoever. Haga, and Hachi Noagim Bechol, and he says that's the minhag about b'Shabbos v'Yom Tov sheish ben Kiddush. Whenever it's Kiddush, Shabbos and Yom Tov, then you say it at Kiddush. Mevarich la'achar at Kiddush. After you say Kiddush, right? That's what we already had, and right, everyone should do it. The minhag is v'im Kiddush b'bayit v'ochel b'sukkah or ibcha. Look at Reish Ayin Gimel. Right, so that's Shinoi Makom. So, but here, anyway, just to point out, so what happens with Shabbos or Yom Tov morning? So in the morning, the Kiddush, there's no bracha of Kiddush. It's just Ber Pri Gefen, and that's it. You say a pasuk, Ber Pri Gefen, and then you drink. So where should you say? Should you say Leshev Sukkah or not? So most Ashkenazim would say, most Ashkenazim do say, what's it called? They say Leshev Sukkah in the morning when they say Kiddush, even if there's no bread. Sorry, if there's bread, everyone says Leshev Sukkah. There's no question, right? This happens to be a machloket. Which one do you do first? Before Ber Geffen, after Ber Geffen with Hamotzi, there's different minhagim. But if a person's just going to have a quick Kiddush and they're just going to have a piece of cake, so then most Ashkenazim also say Leshev Sukkah. I believe most would say it after a Ber Geffen, and then before they drink the wine, they would say Leshev Sukkah. But there are different opinions, and most Sephardim, they would actually not say a bracha unless it's bread. So if they're just having a quick Kiddush on Mazonos, many Sephardim don't even say Leshev Sukkah in that situation. Okay.
They eat a very large amount.
Well, if they're not kovei, but they're not kovei suda. So many don't. Many they wait. It's actually they're very strict, like the Ramah, which is a little bit odd. But that's. But anyways, there's Shulchan Aruch that say nagu. So, but anyways, many of them were machmer unless they have bread or kovei suda, maybe if they have more than a kabetza. That's a good question. So different opinions on how to handle that. Taf Reish Mem Daled. Seder Hallel Kol Yemei Achag. Aleph. Shachrit Achar Chazar Tefillah Not Lina Lulav. So now we're getting to Shachris, right? And the Tefillah. So you daven, and then after Chazar Shatz, you do the mitzvah of lulav, right? Some people do it, obviously. We know some people do it in the morning in the Sukkah. Zrizim, even more Zrizim Magdim in mitzvahs, and some try and do it in their Sukkah. But here, it's as far as Letzibur, it's been established. We do it Netilas Lulav right after Chazar Shatz. In order, also it's Zrizim Magdimin for the Tzibur, or it's also part of the Tefillah. We use it for davening. Umevarchin al netilas lulav v'Shehechiyanu, right? It's going to be part of Hallel or Shoshanos. So we say the bracha of netilas lulav, and we say Shehechiyanu, right? Another time. This is, most situations, this will be your second and last Shehechiyanu for Sukkot until you reach Shemini Atzeret. Now, v'gomrim ha'Hallel, and you finish Hallel. You say complete Hallel Shalim with the bracha before and after l'kol hadeos. V'chein kol shomonas yemei achad, for all 8 days, which means through Shemini Atzeret, right? And plus in Chutz La'aretz also for Simchas Torah, the 9th day. Umavarchin ligmora et Hallel, and you say the bracha ligmor et Hallel, even for Svardim, right? It's full Hallel. Here they're going to say a bracha both times, even before and after. Svardim say ligmor et Hallel, Ashkenazim say likros Hallel. Bein tzibur, bein yachid, even though it might be a machlokis, how to handle it in other situations when it's a minhag, here when it's a mikar adin, a kuli alma, doesn't matter if you're in public or in private, you say it with a bracha. Okay. Ein mafsikin bo, ela kaderach she'amar b'kriyat shema, and you're not supposed to interrupt Hallel, except like you are allowed to make interruptions for Kriyat Shema. Be'emtza shoel mipnei hayira, you're allowed to, in the middle of a mizmor, you're allowed to even ask for someone who you're afraid of, or you have to have yira for. Meishiv mipnei hakavod, and for someone who you have to give more honor to, you could even answer, Good Shabbos, Good Yontiv, whatever, Moedim Zmanim, whatever. Bein haprakim, and in between the mizmor, so then for sure everything goes. For answering, Shalom Pnei HaKavod Umeshiv Shalom L'Kol Adam. You're allowed to respond. Right? Chag Sameach, whatever someone tells you. V'im Pasak Be'emtza V'Shah Afilu Kadei Ligmor Et Kula. And if you make such a break, and Einu Tzarich Lachzor El Makom Shepasak, even though you took a long break, you just go back to where you left off. And if a person brings you a lulav in the middle of Hallel, in between the mizmorim, you say the bracha if you didn't get a chance to do the mitzvah yet. This way, because you want to use the lulav during Hallel. So in bein the mizmorim, that's the best time to say the bracha. Okay, bet the Hallel Afilu asara korin ke'echad. And there's no maximum number. Many people can lead and read Hallel out loud, and even as chazan, and that's not a problem. Okay, stop here.